Hello, welcome to MelodyElrod.com. I'm so pleased to be able to announce that I now offer online tutoring, and in order to give you a preview of what online tutoring would look like, I've decided to create a video that gives you a little bit of a sample lesson. So thanks for visiting, and hopefully this will be helpful to you. Before we get started with the online tutoring, I wanted to go over just a few notes, tell you a little bit about the software that I'll be using today and the software that you would be required to have in order to do online tutoring. First of all, Blueberry Flashback Express. Now, you're not required to have this software. It's just a piece of information to let you know that this is actually what I'm using today to create this video. Blueberry Flashback Express is a shareware program that allows the user to capture all of the screen movements to be saved for trainings or videos or like that. So it is available online. If you're interested, please feel free to visit their website. Second of all is Corel Painter Express. Again, not something that you're required to have, but if you're an art lover, it may be something that you find very useful. It is not free software, but it is very good software. It's akin to the paintbrush software that's in your computer already, but it's much more sophisticated and allows you to do a lot of different things like photo painting and some other things. Okay. The thing that I really love the most is my bamboo pen tablet. Again, you're not required to have this. This is actually a piece of hardware, not software. It consists of a stylus along with a pen tablet that allows me to use my own handwriting on the screen and create this virtual blackboard that you see in front of you. Now, this piece of software you would be required to have. You would need to be able to use Skype. Most households do have Skype these days, but if you don't, it's a very easy and free download. You're welcome to visit Skype.com and look more information about that. We'll be using the video chat feature of Skype, which allows me to share screen with you so that you'll be able to see the same screen that you're seeing right now. And then it would also allow me to watch you and to pay attention to you to make sure that you're understanding, that you're tracking what we're talking about. It allows us to communicate back and forth via microphone or however else you want to do that. But it does require a webcam. Now, a lot of newer laptops and computers come with built-in webcams. If your computer does not have a built-in webcam, it's really only about a $10 or $15 purchase, and you can use it for a lot of things. I know a lot of families who are separated that use Skype video chat to communicate with each other while, on assignment or if they're living cross country, grandparents and grandchildren, that kind of thing. I've communicated with my nieces and nephews on it myself. Okay, and then lastly, you do have to have high-speed internet access. Dial-up simply does not work for live streaming and screen sharing, so you want to make sure that your internet access is good and strong. Cable is the best. It really is. I know that the phone company wants you to believe that their DSL service is just as good, but I have discovered that it's really not. So we can try it either way, but I will tell you that the best experience you'll have is probably going to be on cable high-speed access. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk a little bit about percentages today. Now, percentages flummox a lot of my students. They complain that they're not really sure how to move the decimal. Do I multiply? Do I divide? There's all these crazy questions, and they're not really sure how to approach them. So let's talk a little bit of vocabulary first. The word percentage literally means per 100. The word percentage literally means per 100. Cent as in century or cents out of a dollar, 100, all increments of 100, which mathematically can be translated into divided by 100. So when you're faced with a percentage and you're not really sure how to change it from a percent to a decimal, it's very simple. If you have, say, 35% and you want to change it to a decimal, that is the same thing as saying 35 per cent or per 100, which is 0.35. So if you're not sure where to put that decimal point, it does move 2 and it does move 2 to the left. But if that's something that's difficult for you, then remember that it's per 100, percentage. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is percentage off versus percent increase. Okay, so a percent off versus a percent increase? Well, anytime we talk about percentages, the default percentage, if I'm talking about a number, is going to be 100%, all of it. Okay, all of something is default as 100%. So if I've got a percentage off, for example, I don't know, 12% off, well, then that translates to actually not paying 12%. So I'm taking that 100 and I'm decreasing it by 12%, which means that I'm paying 88%. Does that make sense? So if I've got 12% off, then 100 minus 12 is 88%. I'm paying 88% instead of 100%. If I have a percent increase, on the other hand, let's say I'm increasing it by 20%, that means what I'm doing is I'm taking that default 100% and I'm increasing that by 20%. So I end up with 120%. Okay, so percent off takes it down from 100%, increase builds it up from 100. So one subtracts, the other one adds. The other thing that you need to remember is that if you're taking the percentage of a number, say 15% of a number, that can be directly translated into 15%, so over 100, of is multiplication. So we're going to multiply by that number. So right here, this multiplication here is the same thing as of. 15% of means 15% times. Okay, so with that vocabulary in mind, let's do a little math. Here's our example. Let's say we have an item that we're buying a sweater, and that sweater is normally priced at $39.99. Now, when we get to the sale, we realize, oh goody, okay, we get 30% off that sweater. Okay? But we also know that since we live in Tennessee, although you may not, since I live in Tennessee, I know that I'm also going to have to pay 8.75% sales tax. And since I've just moved here from Georgia, that's a very large increase. It's 2.5 to 2.75%. That's a lot. Anyway, so what I've got here is I've got several things that are happening. Number one, I'm going to have to take off 30%. So that's 100 minus 30, leaving me 70% to pay. Right? Okay, now sales tax is an increase. It is something that inflates the price. So I'm going to have 100 plus 8.75, and that's going to inflate my payment price to 108.75%. All right? So what that means, all in all, is that this is what I'm doing. I have a price of $39.99. Okay? Of that $39.99, I'm going to pay 70% of it. And once I get that price, I'm going to have to apply the sales tax, which means I'm going to have to pay 108.75% of that. Okay? So here we go. Let's do the math. This actually becomes quite easy. 108.75%, right? Per 100. Of is multiplication. 70%, 70% per 100 of, and then our actual price, $39.99. Okay, now if I whip out my handy dandy calculator, which is generally going to be on my phone because that's where our calculators are these days, I'm going to get an actual payment of $30.44. Now we can also do this same problem by estimating $39.99 at 40% and doing a lot of the math in our head. But that's a that's a lesson for another day. We'll just leave this here for now. Now, the great thing about online tutoring with video Skype is that I can see your face and you can ask me questions. So there is a lot of interaction between us, and that's really important. Tutoring doesn't work if you can't ask questions. That's why some online classes are so very frustrating. It's because you can't say to your teacher, okay, well, I got you right then, but stop because I don't understand this last step. And I want you to know that that's something that I hold very, very dear, and I want you to be able to ask questions when you have them. In fact, if you'd like to see what online tutoring would look like with your own equipment and your own Skype and all those kinds of things, please feel free to send me an email or give me a call, and I'd be happy to set up a live demo free of charge to let you see what that looks like from your perspective. So anyway, hopefully this has been helpful to you. Thank you for visiting melodyelrod.com, and hopefully I'll get to talk with you soon. Thank you.